my name is Caroline. I'm a recruitment manager for Capgemini. I've been with Capgemini now. It will be coming into my 6th year. So yeah, love working for the company, and have always worked in the early career space. So that is specialising in bringing in the best talent into both our apprentice and graduate communities here at Capgemini. So it's really lovely to be here today and to obviously tell you a little bit more about it. So Biliana, would you mind?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Biliana, and I'm the education team administrator here at Capgemini. I've been the education team administrator for about 7 months now, so not as long as Caroline. But the way I got into the company is quite interesting in the sense that I went to university for about a year, and I figured that it's not actually for me. I wanted to get a lot more work experience, a lot more professional networking, and just see, what is the real work world like. So after a year of doing journalism, I actually ended up dropping out, and I went on to looking for a full-time employment and an apprenticeship. And lucky me, I came across Capgemini, who provide exactly that. And I applied and I went through the whole recruitment process, which Caroline will talk to you in a second about. And yeah, I applied and I got in, and now I'm studying project management, and it's 18 months long. And yeah, this is me just briefly.
Thank you. Yeah, and Biliana's got a really interesting story, as you've just heard there, and it's great to have somebody working within the kind of early career space and also whilst doing an apprenticeship. So thank you, Biliana. So yeah, just wanted to share a little bit more about Capgemini then, because when I do these events and talks, I often say that we are probably the biggest company that you've never heard of. So in terms of what we do and who we are, I hadn't heard of us before I joined Capgemini, and I don't know about you, Biliana. So just a bit of an overview and hopefully bring to life a little bit more about what we do and who we are. So Capgemini is a global technology outsourcing and consultancy company. We work with as I say, we're global, so we've got presence in over 50 countries, as you see there, with over 270,000 employees. So we're a huge company, and we've got a massive presence here in the UK. We have base locations UK wide, going from Scotland, Wales, down south, etc. So there's a lot of presence across the UK, as I say. So in terms of what we do, we work with different clients to provide different solutions, and the next slide that you'll see brings to life some of those clients for you. So you may have recognized, as you may have just seen them, but there's some clients on there that you may already recognize, and I'll be able to bring to life. So as the slides moved on, we'll move on to this one. So in terms of these clients here, you'll see that there's a number of clients that vary across lots of different industries, and with this means that we're able to work in a number of different spaces, which is great. But to bring to life a little bit more about what we do, and this is what some of our apprentices and graduates are working on as well. So when I'm talking about this, we have got graduates and apprentices on all of these accounts that you see in front of us, and this is just a snapshot of some of the clients that we work with. So an example that I'll give that people will have known and heard of, is McDonald's. So sorry, I'm really put off by this skipping over, so let me just try and change this, if that's okay. I'm not sure why it keeps skipping on. Apologies for this.
The presentation keeps moving on, doesn't it? Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Biliana, while we wait for that and give Caroline a bit of time, I just wonder, what were your decision-making processes? So you had the option of uni, you ended up going down the apprenticeship route. Just talk us through that, because obviously it was quite recently, I suppose.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago at all. It was probably like a year and a half ago. when I was in sixth form, actually, I always wanted to go into the apprenticeship route, but you know, it was a parental choice, if you like, to go down the university route. And you know, I ended up going, and I kind of just realized, well, this whole time I was right. But you know, before dropping out, I did a lot of research because I wanted to be sure that, you know, you don't want to make that mistake, you don't want to waste your time. So I went back to my sixth form head of year, and I actually spoke to him about it. I spoke to my mentors about it, and I said, you know, what do you think is good for me? And they said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want work experience. You know, I really want to get out there and just build my confidence and just meet professionals and work with professionals while studying at the same time. So they thought, well, you know, it sounds like you know what you want, just do the research and I also spoke to other people who were on apprenticeships. And I also had one other friend who went to university and then did the same thing as me. And, you know, they were very, very confident in the decision that they made. So, yeah, I'd say just do a lot of research before you make the decision, and speak to people who've been there, and speak to people who know you as a person in terms of the way you function in academics and in the workspace.
No, fantastic. I don't have any supplementary questions. You answered everything. Caroline, happy with is the PowerPoint under control now?
Yes, it's got a mind of its own today, so apologies. Yeah, so actually just going back to that point, because that slide did just go quickly on. So if I can just return to this, because I think it links in really nicely with what Biliana has said there in the apprenticeship program. So I guess just to from our perspective, we have an award-winning apprenticeship program, which you will hear a little bit more about towards the end of these slides, just to give you a taster of kind of what's out there, as I'm sure you've probably already heard. But we have around 300 apprentices on program currently at the moment. So we have a number of different opportunities, and Biliana is on one of, I think, 7 or 8 program training providers that we're working with at the moment. So yeah, in terms of kind of the decision making, all of these apprentices have come from all different routes. Some have gone to uni, some are reskilling in the apprenticeship sector, and some have gone to uni and realised it's not for them. And again, that's something that I did want to touch upon in a couple of slides further on, because it is all about understanding what is right for you as an individual. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Biliana, in terms of understanding the way that you work and recognising what is the best way for you to learn. And that is something that we really do home in on when going through the recruitment process. So yeah, just back onto this slide around the clients, and just to finish up in terms of the clients, as I say, we work across all of these different client sites, and they're based all over the UK. Some of these are actually even based abroad, given, you know, the opportunity for people to travel also. With the example that I was referring to around McDonald's, was they came to us with an issue which was around the ordering, and I guess in short the solution is the touch screens that you see in every single McDonald's that you'll come across now. So instead of queuing up as you used to, you're ordering, you go in and you order on the big touch screen. That is a Capgemini solution. There's a number of different solutions on here that I could talk about, and I could go on, but I'm just a bit conscious of time. But just another one that people would have come across you know, on a regular basis is the Heathrow airport, where you've got the passport scanners. That is something that Capgemini do, so it recognises your face. And also DWP and HMRC is one of our it is our biggest client and account. So I guess quite topical at the moment. So in terms of like the job retention scheme that's out there, that is a Capgemini initiative that we worked on during the start of the lockdown period. So HMRC has been incredibly a busy client for us during this time. So hopefully that brings to life a few things that we do. As I said, if anybody does want any more information about that of what we do, let me know. So I would just like to go on to the next couple of slides around kind of what we look for. Biliana, I may bring you in a couple of times on this, seems as you spoke so well about kind of your experiences there then. So I guess in terms of our apprentices and graduates, when we're looking for the best kind of talent, there's a few things that we look for, but our recruitment process is all based on strengths. So what I would say is, when you're looking to find a job, then one of the things that you're most likely to do is to go out and, one, research the company that you're looking for, and two, research the role. But what people often forget to do is to research the recruitment process and understand what are the recruitment processes that we follow. So here at Capgemini, we do our recruitment focus based on strengths. And the reason for that is because we understand and realize that you aren't going to have that breadth of experience behind you. You may be starting out in your career, so it's more about what you can bring to Capgemini as opposed to what you've already done. So what we did was we went out to our current graduates and apprentices to find out what are the certain strengths that they display in their roles, and we recruit based on strengths. So what you can see in front of us here is all around what the strengths that, as I said, the apprentices and graduates display. So there's several different strengths that we look for. So when you're applying for us, what I would say is that we are looking for you to provide examples with regards to the strengths that you see in front of us. So when you're looking at employers, they will also likely to have certain strengths and values that they're looking for in their individuals. So coupled with both our strengths model, we also have values at Capgemini that we look for. So if I just go on to the next slide. So here I just want to really talk around kind of some of the key things that we're looking for in our apprentices and graduates. So these are the values that we have at Capgemini. So we've got 7 core values. So agile, collaborative spirit, these are core strengths: self-drive, active ownership, network, credibility, and work ethic. But alongside these, the values that we hold are fun, boldness, modesty. I could go on and I won't bore you, but this is what we're really looking for you to display during the recruitment process. So what I would say is, when you're looking to join, that you research the strengths and see where you can apply your own experiences to them. So as I said before, we're not looking for you to have loads of experience in a certain sector. Obviously we recruit into the IT sector. We're not expecting you to have loads and loads of experience there, but what we do want to see is capability. So what we're looking for is capability and engagement levels. I guess one of the key things that we look for is people that have done stuff outside of their academics as well. So one of the main things that I would say is that, if you're doing stuff that you are teaching yourself, such as, if you're coding in your own spare time because you haven't had the opportunity to do it at school, make sure that you're referencing that, putting that on the application form. I think people underestimate some of the self-learning that they do, and they don't often evidence that in application forms. So the world is digital, as we've had to learn more so than ever this year, and you'll probably be doing things and teaching yourself things without even noticing. So podcasts that people are listening to, if you're reading up on things, if you're keeping up to date with current trends, or tech information, or whether that be in a different sector, even if you're following certain articles or key people on LinkedIn, all stuff like that is really great to reference when you're applying for roles. It just shows that you've got that additional level of passion for the area that you want to go into. So I think often people get weighed down by just having what they've done at school, but more often than not, we want to see that next level, and you can't teach people passion. So if you've got something that you enjoy and something that you do as a hobby, we want to hear about it. And I guess for us, one of the things I would say is that we're looking for people that are completely different. We don't want carbon copies of people that we've already got. So we're always, trying to find out more about individuals. We are a people organisation. We work with people. We're highly collaborative. So what we want to see is kind of the things that ignite your passion, so to speak. And that's where it links into the strengths-based model. So anywhere you can evidence learning outside your academics. Of course, academics are really, really important, but I think make sure you're able to demonstrate that also. So Biljana, is there anything that you'd like to add in terms of kind of when you applied for Capgemini, anything that you found that you brought to the table?
Yeah, if I top of my head, I remember them being very interested about any extracurricular activities like sports and any clubs that I was in. They really liked the fact that I was volunteering for a charity. We spoke about the different books I read and the book club I was in, and they, other than what skills am I bringing to the job and how do I plan to, exceed in my job, they were very interested in my passions and, the do I have that sense of personal growth and wanting to exceed more. So I made sure to speak about any online courses that I did in my own time. So anything that portrays you as someone who really likes to grow on a professional level and on a personal level and exceed, and anything that shows that you have a passion, be sure to mention it and just include that, and nothing's irrelevant. I find myself always thinking, oh, but should I say that, should I not, and it's yes, you should say it. Mention anything that you've done that is outside of your studies, because people really do look for it, and it's really appreciated.
Thank you. And in terms of like volunteering, etc., that is also another really key point there. With regards to Capgemini, we work really closely with the Prince's Trust. More often than not, people will come to us because of they relate to the fact that we do a lot of charity work as an employer, and they like that. That may be something that draws them to that. Absolutely, if you're doing charity work, voluntary work, that's something we want to hear about, because we're hugely invested in that at Capgemini. And so when you're looking at other employers also, if you've got any passions that relate to what they do, make sure that you mention that. I guess with our apprentices and graduates, what we're looking for is, that self-drive. And we always say at Capgemini that you just drive your own career. So we want really driven people that are inquisitive, people that can bring a new outlook and focus and viewpoints. I guess from an IT perspective, we've got a lot work in Capgemini that didn't grow up with tech. I remember when I was at school, we had an hour's computer lesson every 2 weeks, and it's crazy to think that. So you're like the generation that are brought up with tech, so you're going to have a completely different outlook and view, and you can bring new ideas, etc. So that's what we really want to work with and bring into the company, because it only grows us as an employer and as a company, and just grows ideas and solutions. So I think it's really important to bring your passions to the table and be able to evidence that when it comes to applying. And I think more often than not, most employers are following this strengths-based model. So it really does give you the opportunity to showcase yourself in the absolute best light. But what I really would recommend is just researching those recruitment models and processes, and make sure that you can kind of evidence what they're looking for, because none of this here is to trip you up. It's you'll probably find that you'll be able to relate examples to any of those strengths that are up there.
Caroline?
Yeah.
So over 50% of employers use this model, don't they, looking at strengths?
Yeah.
Why is everyone moving across to it, so to speak? It's quite new, isn't it? But everyone seems quite keen on it now.
Yeah, definitely. I think the reason is because of what I mentioned earlier. It's recognizing that with especially in the early career space, that people won't have that experience behind them, but also apprenticeships are not just for obviously the younger generation, therefore older like people that have been in their career for a bit longer. And I think that it's recognizing that people are reskilling and retraining. So it takes a focus just off of what you have already maybe learned at school, and it may be that you are teaching yourself code on the on your spare time. So it goes away from that competency-based model of tell me what you've already done, and it moves to what can you bring. And I think it's just a really exciting way of looking at the recruitment process, and it just gives more opportunity to see people that wouldn't necessarily come through the process, or they might be put off from a competency-based model because they would think, actually, I've never done that before. So that, in my opinion, that's why. But yeah, we've seen some real success since we transitioned to the strengths-based model, and we get really good feedback around how it feels like the recruitment process does really give people the opportunity to sell themselves and bring a lot to the table, which is good.
And I wonder, Biliana, if you were in year 9 again, only a few years ago for you, I wonder, what would you be thinking? What advice do you have for year 9s? Because it sounds to me like it's not all about your grades, and you don't always have to be top of the class, but maybe you can get involved in extracurricular things that could really make a difference too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not all about the grades. It never is. I would say anything that builds up skills such as teamwork, leadership. So I did a lot of sports that really, worked on my teamwork, and I did a lot of talks with my teachers. I was very confident, but we had to work on it as well in terms of public speaking. So I'm doing it right now. I had to work on it back in year 9 and year 10, and that really built up the skill. So I'd say sports, extracurricular, again, volunteering, and you guys are very lucky in the sense that there's a lot of things online in terms of courses and skills development, and some of them are for free, some of them you have to pay for. But I find myself, I'm able to go online and just look for a course and complete it, and at the end I feel like, I have a new skill, or I've developed a skill that I already had. So don't just focus on your grades, of course, but do the extra work. If you really want to succeed, and if you really want to get out there and just grow yourself, do the extra work. And if you're doing it in a fun way, and if you're doing something that you like, it's not going to feel like you're doing work. It's just going to feel like having fun.
No, it's great. Sometimes we don't think about that in schools. We're just so focused on grades, but it is about grades, and it is also about the other stuff as well. It's quite nice to hear on a Friday afternoon. Caroline, we've got about 5 minutes left or so.
Okay, great. So I guess in terms of that, and that links into what a strength is. It's something that you are good at doing, and something that you're happy to do over and over, and something that you enjoy doing. So it perfectly links into what you've just said there, Biliana. So absolutely. And I think it's just those extracurriculum activities that you get yourself, that you include and get involved with, that they're the things that are going to set you aside from the person that's sitting next to you. So I think what I would say is it's better to bring more to the table than less. So and as you said, Biliana, there's nothing that employers won't want to hear about. It just adds to who you are as an individual. So I think that's some good advice there, Biliana, to definitely make sure that you mention it. So just in terms of the next couple of slides then, I just wanted to touch upon pathways that we offer into Capgemini. I know it may be early days for some of you, well, year 9, but obviously just to get you thinking about what's out there in terms of what we offer. I touched upon it at the beginning. There's a couple we have a couple of flagship programs here at Capgemini that I just wanted to focus on. But as I mentioned, there are a number of different apprenticeship opportunities, and across those 300 plus apprentices that we've got. They're on those 8 or 9 different programs, but the 2 programs that you see in front of us are our flagship programs. So we offer 2 degree apprenticeships which follow A level or the equivalent of. One is a technology degree apprenticeship, and the other one is a business degree apprenticeship, both of which are run out of Aston University. However, that being said, both of the programs are distance-based learning. So the idea of all of our apprenticeships is that they can be run out of one provider, but you could be working anywhere in the UK. So these 2 different programs that you see, you've got the overview there, and I won't go into too much detail just given the time, but they're both 4.5-year programs, and all of our apprentices that join us start on a starting salary of 17,500, and then they're on a pay and progression model with a view that after the 4.5 years you'll be on the same money as a graduate, if not more, given your experience. So it's all about building up experience whilst working and doing an apprenticeship. So the idea is, if it excites you to kind of learn and work on the job, I guess, and you work better with putting theory to practice and practice to theory, this may be a route that you might want to consider. As we talked about in the beginning, Biljana, you felt that uni wasn't for you, and people may get pushed towards uni. People may decide that they want to go because that's all they've ever known, and then they might actually think, actually, it's not for me. I do actually want to do the doing while learning on the side. So it's just to showcase that these are some of the options that are out there for you, and the apprenticeship market is huge. So there's so many different opportunities on offer, and I really would encourage people to look at that avenue if they are a bit hesitant about university. But that being said, we also offer a graduate community program here at Capgemini, so we're hugely passionate about bringing in graduates also. So some of the other routes are, once you go away and get a degree, then you'd be eligible for our graduate program, which is similar to this. So Biljana, just from your perspective, doing an apprenticeship, working on the job, can you just give a quick overview about how you find that and how that's working for you, please?
I feel like I am exactly where I need to be in terms of, what I'm doing. And again, the reason why I'm so happy with it is because I'm quite the active learner. I enjoy doing the theory, but then for me to really, understand and get it, I have to then go ahead and do it. So say if my theory is something on Excel, I have to read, the material, have it explained to me, and then go ahead and then try to work with Excel for maybe an hour or 2, and after that I feel like, yeah, like this is easy. Whereas at university it was very, very theory based. So yeah, for the type of learner that I am, and make sure that you know how you learn and what's the best way of learning for yourself, because everyone's different. But for the type of active learner that I am, I feel like apprenticeships, and especially the one that I'm on, which is project management, I feel like that's the great thing for me, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. And just to close off, I guess, going back to kind of things that set you aside, I think research into companies is really important, but also creating connections and networks with people, even as early on as where you are now. We've had some people engage with Capgemini since doing work experience in year 10, and then they join us later on. Keep those connections. It's really valuable to connect with people and keep engaged, because that really will obviously as well set you aside. If you go to events doing stuff like this, anywhere you can evidence where you've done additional research, it's absolutely perfect to put on your application and to talk about. And that's what we really want to hear, because that just shows that you're going the extra mile to do research into where you want to work and investing in yourself. So I guess that's it from us, unless there was any questions at all.
If there are any questions, do give them into the chat box now. It is 14:46. I'm aware it's Friday afternoon, so we'll just give it a few seconds if there are. Caroline, Biljana, I just wonder, being Friday afternoon and in COVID, How are you guys coping with working from home? Just really top line and quickly for our students, just so we know what it's like to actually work over COVID and work from home.
I think we, as an employer, we adjusted really quickly. I think it has been a bit unusual because we're so used to seeing people face to face, but I think if anything, the communication has upped, video calls have upped, and it's felt like a really nice environment to be part of. And I'm really fortunate enough to say that I've been able to transition to do recruitment online, and that we've been able to continue to recruit the whole way through lockdown and beyond, which has been fantastic. Biliana?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you said it perfectly there, and we definitely adapted quickly. And I actually, straight after I joined, we went into lockdown. So, it's a bit of a funny story, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Communication is definitely key right now, and my team and everyone at Capgemini is doing it very well. So yeah, it's it can be a challenge, but if you just make sure that you do what you need to do at work in terms of communication, and as well work-life balance is very important at the moment.
Yeah.
Then it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, Biliana, you said the last words there of our Buck Skill Show 2020. So what an honour. Guys, it's been a fantastic week and really ended really well there by Capgemini, understanding what sort of skills we need to be thinking about going into the workplace. Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you so much, Biliana, a shining example there. Well done for students. Well done to teachers for being involved in this session. Hopefully you got to experience some more of the sessions that we've done this week. If you are watching this recording, there's going to be plenty more for you to look at and to actually understand, because we've done loads of lessons this week. But from everyone at the Buck Skills Show 2020, thank you very much for this week, and everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.